Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast, and a special episode because this week we are joined by a special guest coming off of an absolutely incredible 2025 season. I shouldn't say coming off of it because the season's not quite done yet. We got one big tournament coming up, but Azul and I are joined this week by the man, the myth, the legend, Henry Chao. What's up, Henry? How you doing? Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be a rare guest on the Uncommon Energy podcast.
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you. Yeah, and we want to do some more of these kind of like interview type episodes. Mostly during the season, we focus just kind of on mine and Azul's takes on what's going on. But we've had guests on before. We're not opposed to doing it more frequently in the future. So we're happy to have you join us. Now, before we get too far into things, I do want to say I've heard that you and Azul have actually known each other for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Azul, why don't you kind of give a little bit of the background here?
Yeah, so specifically was friends with Henry's brother. I don't think he's made his way back to the game, as far as I can tell. I haven't seen him at any events, so...
He lives overseas right now, so it'll be a while till he can do that again.
Okay, yeah. So way back in the day when I started playing the game, we actually went to the same league, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Arlington Poke League with Liz Bowman, yeah.
Yeah. So we went to the same league back in the day. A couple of the kids there who went there routinely. So specifically... was friends with Henry's brother, because Henry was like, I don't know, like 6, 7 years old back then. So it was like,
crazy.
But yeah, hung out with him all the time at league and local tournaments and stuff like that. And it was kind of crazy because I ran into you for the first time at what tournament
Charlotte.
was it?
I said what's up to you at Charlotte, and I think I had to jog your brain a little bit to recognize me because I was literally like 9 years old when you knew me, but you remembered after a second, yeah.
Exactly. You're like twice as tall as the last time I had seen you. Yeah. So yeah, I've known Henry for a long time. Haven't seen him in a long time until last season, I guess. Not this season we're currently in, but yeah, it's kind of crazy to see you come back in the game in such a big way for sure. But besides that, we have some history together. Or to let the people know a little bit more about you. What are you doing right now? Where are you from? There's kind of a little bit more background on yourself besides, the fact that we went to league all the way back in, 2011, 2012.
Yeah. So I'm from Quincy, which is a suburb of Boston. So when I was 8 or so years old, my brother, he was like collecting cards, and he did the classic, like, hey, what if we actually tried to figure out how these worked? So then we started going to local tournaments, and the first league we went to was Kamikaze Games in Arlington, as I said earlier, which is where I met Azul and his whole family. And we all played. I played around from 2008 to 2012, and for a junior, senior, I was like, okay. I top-8 Worlds once. I never had a big win. I top-4 Nats once. My brother, as you may have remembered, was sort of a rogue deck enthusiast. Yes. So he sort of always he won our regionals with he played Lost Zone Giratina to regionals, and that's not the Lost Tina you're thinking of. This is the one that's 30
Giratina level X.
Yeah, Giratina level X. He played Plasma Articuno to a national, stuff like that. So he sort of encouraged me to play stuff out of the box, which I thought was really fun, and I had a great time doing it. So yeah, I played until around 2012, 2013, until felt like a lot of the friends I had around the area stopped playing, and my brother also sort of got less into it. So then I took a break for a really long time, over 10 years. I didn't play throughout high school, college. Well, I didn't play competitively, but every time I saw my brother, we would always have our 2010 decks built, and we would play a lot when we saw each other. And honestly, that probably helped me stay sharp. We played so much of that 2010 format. I mean, running Lux Chomp, Dialga Chomp over and over again is definitely a good way to improve at the game. But yeah, that happened until I watched NAIC 2023, the one that Cyrus defeated Ian in the finals of. I saw Ian on stream, and I remember Ian started playing after I started playing, and we hit each other in juniors a fair amount. And I used to beat Ian all the time, and then I see him now, and he's oh my god, he's so good now. It's crazy. And then of course I knew that Azul was still winning so much, and just the fact that people I knew were still doing good and still playing, I was it must still be pretty fun. And that's when I started playing a bit online and then going to tournaments. And then speaking of which, I don't want to bore the people with too many old names, but Alex Freza, John Bristow, Conley, all of them were at NAIC, which I think is so cool. race ability as well. So yeah, anyway, I have a lot of really fun memories of the old New England days. There were so many good players, and we just all had a ton of fun. And I saw people still there, and I decided to keep playing. And yeah, it worked out. It's been really fun.
So that's a nice little kind of background on your game. Actually, I want to ask you a little bit about some other history here. What are some of your earliest TCG related memories? Like earliest decks that you played? What was the first tournament you remember winning? Talk to us about some of that past.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Now you get to really let me just get on my soapbox here. So the first deck I think I played was this deck called Blast Caddy, Blastoise Delcatty. The Blastoise was like, discard the top 3 cards of your deck and attach the waters you find there, something like that. And then I think Delcatty had some way of like recovering energies. I don't even remember it very well. But then yeah, it was from one of the Gen 4 sets.
Yeah, I know exactly which Blastoise you're talking about.
The one on the hill looking all scary.
Yep.
Oh wow, even a counter water attached to your opponent's Pokemon. Anyway, this deck was really, really bad. But my first nationals, I played a very infamous deck in TCG history, the straight Machamp deck, Take Out Machamp. And one of my favorite memories, well, I feel really bad. I hit this girl in top 64, and we were playing Machamp Mirror. And for some godforsaken reason, I had plus powers in my Machamp deck. So I used plus power and then used Hurricane Punch. And I flipped 4 heads and one-shot her Machamp. And then in game 2, I hit them with a kick from Machop, which was just 1 for 10. So it had 120 left. And then I flipped 4 heads again. So,
oh my gosh.
That was, when you see me get lucky on stream these days, just know that it's been a long time coming. I've been at it for a while now.
Fiend for the coin flips out here.
Yeah. And then in top 32, I hit Gengar and got destroyed. So that was just like my first year. And then the next year in the 2009-2010 format was probably my best year. I got top 4 at nationals with Luxray and Fernape, which was a little bit past its prime at that point. This was when Garchomp and DCE were already released, but I don't think the match was actually that bad because your and Fernape could like one-shot their Garchomps. And then I played straight Luxray at Worlds and got top 8. And then the first like big tournament I won, I guess, was actually the year before I quit, or pretty much the year that I did quit. I went to Philadelphia Regionals as a senior and played Darkrai Terrakion, and I went like undefeated in Swiss and swept top 8 as well. Top 16 as well. And then I like didn't play the rest of the year, strolled up to nationals. But back in the day, you would get 2 free buys at nationals if you won a regionals. So I just got to like walk into Top Cut for free, and then I lost in top 32, and that was pretty much it for me. But yeah, I mean, there's so many fun decks from back in the day. We were sort of jaded, especially my brother, once they released like the big basics, the Darkrai and the Mewtwo, because they kind of restricted creativity, which is definitely true. But yeah, especially before that era, before the EX era, we tried so many different decks and just had so much fun.
Look out here on PTCG Legends, Henry Chao, 7th place, World Championships 2010.
I lost to Yuka. Yeah, I lost to the world champion. Game 1 against her Jumpluff, I managed to trap her Claydol on 1-6 and then snipe her entire board with Drifloon because she ran out of energies. But then I got completely steamrolled in games 2 and 3. It was too bad because I was going to hit a Gyarados in top 4 too, so I was feeling good. Going to get my expert belt Luxray and destroy him.
Yeah, actually, you mentioning the I remember your brother playing the straight Luxray deck. There was no other SPs in there, right? No Garchomp, no. It was just Luxray, right?
Yeah. And then at Nationals 1 year, he decided to flip it around and play a straight Garchomp deck also with no Luxray, and he had like energy pickup in there. That deck was really bad.
If you guys were around, the listeners, during like celebrations, this card they're talking about, Luxray GL, it was included in the Celebrations Classic Collection. It's one of the most iconic cards in the game's history, and I mean, you can hear just them talking about it exactly why. I mean, one of the most powerful cards, and it was used in so many archetypes for multiple years.
Yeah, you didn't even have to play an ST deck. You could just throw this in. This was thrown into a Beedrill deck Twin Worlds at some point, non-ST Beedrill, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
back then, not as many, no Boss's Orders, no Lysander. The Gust effects were very, very minimal. So Luxray was the best we had. People put Luxray in like everything.
So you talked about winning a regionals, but do you remember even like smaller than that? Like the first time you rolled up to locals, like a moment of like, I actually like I remember my first league challenge that I won. And that was the first time I ever like won anything. and that being like a cool moment. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I was so young, so it's hard to say. I mean, I definitely, the problem is back in the day, like especially like the juniors and seniors would be so small. So like a battle roads might be like 4 or 5 people, and I might have won that. I know after I top 32ing Nats was like felt pretty good for like my first season, and then I think I definitely won a states the next year, and that because then I got like a travel award to the Indianapolis Nationals. So that was probably it. But honestly, like I don't actually remember it that well. I mostly remember the Nationals and the Worlds and the regionals.
Yeah, I guess being a smaller division and then being so young when it happened maybe makes it stick out a little bit less. But
yeah, I'd have to ask my mom or my brother probably.
So you talked about kind of getting out of the game a little bit around 2012, that time frame when the big basics came out, and a lot of people who played back then, I know a lot of people kind of lost a little bit of interest in the game around this time frame. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Darkrai EX from Dark Explorers and Mewtwo EX from Next Destinies just kind of dominated the format for a full
you
year.
should pull up the Worlds where it was like 15 out of 16 of the top.
Yeah, it's a pretty gross Worlds to look at because it was like basically like the only deck you could play was Darkrai, and it was like the two best cards, Darkrai and Mewtwo. Mewtwo came out at first, and they're like, "Oh, we'll put out Darkrai because it resists Psychic. Maybe it'll be a little bit of an answer to Mewtwo." And then people just mashed them together, and that became the deck, Darkrai Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you got out of the game a little bit around this time frame. What was kind of the big reasons for that?
Yeah, well, it was my friends getting out of it, and then the format being bad, my brother getting out of it, and also like I was going to like high school, which it's like a little more time, and obviously you can still play Pokemon and go to high school, but yeah, mostly just it felt like the people who I remember playing getting out of it, except Azul stayed in it.
Yeah,
and Ian.
Yeah, and then you mentioned Ian. Yeah, Ian played with us back in the day. He was local in the New England area. Did he win Worlds as a junior? Was that like I remember
he won Nats with Hammer Time. The year I aged up, I remember he won Nats with Crushing Hammer Sableye.
I think he got second in.
Yeah, I think he got second at Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, here you go. It was this year. Darkrai.
Oh, he got
also
second. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He had a crazy year that I didn't even remember this part.
Yeah.
Jeez, 2 loss remover. Whoa.
He was on one, bro.
You said watching Ian at what 20?
Yeah, 2023 NAIC, especially the finals. It was pretty inspirational. I mean, just like someone I used to play with back as a kid, like just watching him do really good. I was like, yeah, I mean, it made me want to play again for sure. And that simultaneously PTCGL was coming out, and it was like easier to get cards and play online. So that was also like sort of an impetus to start playing again. I could just like build my Guardy deck and just like play a bunch of games with it, which is exactly what I did. Yeah.
So that's a pretty big gap, like over 10 years between 2012, 2023 kind of coming back into the game. Did your relationship with the game look like during that time frame? Did you ever, pick up some cards here or there? Did you ever queue up on PTCG online? Did you ever try anything else out, or were you kind of just fully removed for about 10 years?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So as I mentioned, I would play a lot of retro, like with my brother. Like we just have our 2010 decks built and run them against each other, and that was a lot of fun. Every once in a while, I would turn on the stream, like Worlds was happening. Like I think I remember turning on a stream and watching Azul play some like Pidgeotto control deck at Worlds one year. Every like 3 or 4 years, I'd like open up a stream and like see what's going on, but nothing really brought me back until like I could get the cards and play online. If that feels like I needed that for sure, because I was also like really bad when I re-downloaded live. Like I was playing this like Lost Box deck at first, and I was like horrible. I would like run out of resources like every game. So yeah, like I needed
how does
a bunch
this
of
deck
games.
Win anything?
That's what I'm saying. I was like, this is such a cool toolbox deck. I should be able to like outplay my opponent, and then like I just have my Zamazenta stuck in the active with like 2 cards in my hand. I'd be like, I guess I lost this time. But yeah, it just took a lot of games to get back into it. Like I didn't really think I was going to start playing competitively until like I started winning my locals a lot. That was sort of like my big stepping stone. Is like I played a bunch of live and got fairly high elo, but like I didn't really know if that translated to in-person tournaments. So then I played like league cups and league challenges, and I mean I like really struggled at first, but like so like when I won my first league cup after I got back, that actually meant like a lot to me. And then I won a couple more, and I was like, okay, I think I'll try going to regionals now. And then I got top 64 at Charlotte, and I was like, okay, that's like not too bad. I didn't cash out. Let me get like one more try at it. And then it kind of kept going from there until I felt like I could justify like spending my time playing Pokemon a little bit more.
So your expectations, I guess, like coming back to, you didn't really have any expectations, right? You were just like, I just want to play the game again and then try it out. Like you weren't like, okay, I'm gonna get back into it. I'm gonna get my World's Invite.
No, I never. Yeah, that stuff doesn't really matter to me. I was literally just trying to take it like one step at a time, and that's pretty much how it happened. It was like win a lot online, then win a lot locally, then try my best at some of the bigger events.
PTCG Live was like so the access point of PTCG Live was a big deal for getting
Yeah,
back into the game.
I would not have started playing the game if PTCG Live didn't get released. I mean, I got pretty lucky because right when I was like exploring it is when beta was happening, so I got like a ton of free cards, and I know it might be like a little bit harder to do that now, but I mean, you know, you could just go onto a website and like spend, you know, probably $20 and get a lot of cards that way as well. But yeah, I think the access to like a ranked ladder, even if the ranked ladder is, you know, not the best. Yeah, it just, because I guess one part that I didn't share is in the time that I had quit, I became sort of a League of Legends degenerate and like played a lot of League of Legends on my free time. So
Bro,
you know, I kind of
wanted that pipeline at one point too. So
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So I needed like some sort of ranked ladder. You know, that's what gives you the dopamine hit, right? And like, no matter how bad the ranked ladder was, it still was like something, and that gave me the interest to play a lot.
So one of the things we wanted to ask was, what are some of the big differences just about the game in general you've noticed as someone who was really into it back in the 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s, and then coming back now with like all the information sharing that's out there, social media, like stuff that just wasn't a thing back in 2010, 2011.
Yeah. Well, just to name of sort of the obvious ones, I mean, the events are way bigger, like absolutely insanely, you know, at least, you know, 3 or 4 times bigger on average. I don't remember how big the nationals were back in the day. I want to say they were like maybe 600 or 700, and now this one was like almost 4,000. So that's like a huge point. And then yeah, the information sharing is really nice. I mean, when I started playing again, when I was trying to build my Guardy deck on PTCGL, I would just check Limitless as most people do. Before, I mean, the list would always spread through like word of mouth. You know, I remember like refreshing PokeGym when I was a kid and trying to figure out, you know, what won North Carolina regionals. Oh wow, Machamp Vileplume won. Like, how is this going to change the meta? Stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's better to have one resource for everything rather than having to, you know, try to refresh the random threads on PokeGym. You don't even know where you would find some of these lists sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. What's a big difference? I don't know, Azul. You played back then too. What do you think?
I mean, the tournaments are bigger. I think Limitless has been like the biggest input of the resources, obviously, like Chip mentioned, like just like you mentioned, information share is so high, but I think Limitless is the biggest factor for that. So shout out Robin Schultz, as always, for all the work he does. I'm really scared that he'll leave the Pokemon TCG at some point, so hopefully not. Hopefully that doesn't ever happen, but yeah, I think that's like been the biggest point for like the influx. Was anything like, I guess, like with coming back to the game with all this stuff, was anything like the size of the tournaments, was anything kind of daunting or like felt like it would be like too hard to keep up? Or
yeah, was there any points that like overwhelmed you or anything like that about how things had changed?
Well, I would actually say no. I mean, I think the big part of me was just playing so much online. I mean, I'm a huge shill for the online play, if anyone has like heard me talk before. And like, I was sort of pleasantly surprised because I was like winning online, but I assumed that playing in person would be significantly harder, especially like at major events. But what I figured out is that the average quality of opponent you play online is oftentimes better than people you hit even in regional day twos. So if you really, really can get good online, and this is why I encourage people to try to get to like 1900 elo. If you can do that, you know, you never even have to leave your house to know that you have a really good shot at the first regionals you're going to go to. And that's why, like, when I got top 64 at Charlotte, I was like, wow, like this online play really helped me a lot because I was expecting not even to get day 2 at that event. So yeah, that was really cool.
Did you, between the NAIC that you made top cut at and Charlotte, did you go to any events in between those two?
I went to Indy. I got top 32 at Indy. That tournament was brutal. I like started 7-0 and then I lost like 3 rounds in a row, and then I clutched up to get my top 32. Yeah, this was no Monkey Dory, no Shining Arcana Gardevoir. This was like the dead era of Gardevoir. But the deck was actually really good still. People should have played this more. I wish I got to go to LA. I think I would have done really good at LA with this deck because it destroyed Pidgeot control. As Grant Manley will know. I got him at Indy. Yeah, so just played a lot online and like didn't go to too many events because I like couldn't justify it until I like started doing good. I mean, I think like when I first started playing, my goal of going to major events was to at least be like self-sustaining. Like, don't run the hobby at like a net negative. You know, try to at least like cash every once in a while, and then obviously, you know, as you win more, your goals start to shift a little bit more beyond that.
I think that's a pretty similar story for a lot of people, right? Like, you know, even starting locally on the weekends, like driving 2 hours to a league cup, and it's like, oh, I want a booster box. You know, I sold the booster box, made $150. Like, you know, I'm breaking even on my hobby, right? And that's kind of like the natural like stepping stones. And we kind of see that through your tournament runs, right? Top 64 Charlotte, you talked through it. You made $1,000 for top 32 at Indy, and then capped off with a really strong finish at NAIC, 6th place, top 8 with Gardevoir. Gardevoir absolutely dominated this tournament as well. So talk to us maybe just a little bit about that NAIC run back last season, because
Yeah.
I think that's like really, I mean, there's a big difference between, okay, I made day 2, I got top 64, I got top 32, like one into top 32, not even like losing a win and in match to like lose down to top 32, right? Into transitioning into like, oh, I made top 8 at the largest Pokemon tournament of all time.
Yeah, this tournament was really, really special to me. And yeah, and also like I think a big part of it is I actually like started this tournament out 11-0. Like I really was just like felt like I was running on house money for a really long time in this one. In terms of like why I did good, my list was like absolutely broken for this event because I was sort of the first person to come up with this double Monkey Dory Devo Fluttermane strategy. So I had like an 80-20 mirror while still like destroying everything else that Guardy destroyed with this deck. And yeah, this is like the first time I cut the Drifloon, which I did again for this NAIC. It's an annual tradition of mine. But yeah, no, I like knew this deck was good because I was like winning every game online with it. Like, you know, way better results than I had when I was like playing Shining Arcana Guardy online. So I felt like I had something special here. Obviously, I did not expect to do as well as I did. And once I got deeper into the tournament, I did feel a little like starstruck, overwhelmed. Like, wow, like, you know, I'm playing against Andrew Hedrick. I'm playing against Kaiwin, you know, just like crazy names that I never really expected to play against so quickly. And I think ultimately I did play very poorly in top 8 against Andrew, which is what led to my downfall. But yeah, regardless of that, this tournament was really special. And yeah, it definitely felt like my sort of breakout.
How did you, because like before you were saying like got onto BTCG Live, copy pasted a Gardevoir list, you know, that's a great place to start. But then all of a sudden, NAIC, the 2 majors later, or 3 majors into it, you're like the innovator of Gardevoir. Like this list is like pretty crazy compared to what everyone else was playing at that point. A lot of lists were pretty similar to what the Australians played. I feel like that was kind of like the standard. I guess like the innovative, they had the TM Devo as well, but
Yeah.
you know, one Monkey Dory, one Fluttermane. Like, what was that process? Literally just playing on PTCG Live and just.
Well, no, this one is really weird. This was like a total anomaly for me. So the thing that I actually credit for the inspiration for this deck was Chandelier Noble Victories. I played that Chandelier Vileplume deck at like some cities back in the day, and from that I kind of knew that like these effects where you can like move damage without attacking are like absurdly broken because that deck was like completely ridiculous. So then like when I first read this Monkey Dory card, it's like, why would you limit yourself to one? Like you can literally just take extra prizes like randomly if you just have multiple Monkey Dory on your board. So yeah, like that was like before I had even played a game. I actually have very fond memories of this because I remember PTCGL, the update for Twilight Masquerade was like completely bugged and like no one could play games for like 4 days. And like I had this list sitting in my hands, like, please let me like practice this before NAIC because like it got delayed for so long to the point where I only had like a week and a half to practice it online. But no, this one I actually figured out before even playing a game just because I remembered some of the old retro cards and was like, this has to be broken, dude. This just has to be broken.
That is actually pretty interesting, yeah.
It's pretty wild to see kind of how Monkey Dory has become it's moved from like, oh yeah, this makes sense to play as a one of in my Guardy deck to arguably the best card in the format, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at this most recent NAIC, you were playing the list that Bradner used to take the whole thing down, and you guys had 4 Monkey Dory in there, right?
Yeah, I had this is another one where I just like kind of randomly had the idea. I was like on vacation right before NAIC, and I didn't really. Everyone was like going to Bradner's house, and I was assuming they would like figure stuff out there. But no, like I just kept getting texts like, dude, this Grimmsnarl matchup is chalk. Like, I don't know what to do. And then on the drive over, you know, to my flight to NAIC, I was like, wait, what if we just like like we need to get 3 Monkey Dories every game. So in order to do that, we have to play 4 Monkey Dory, 4 Dark. And then if we get this Energize involved, I'm just gonna like get a bunch of Monkey Dories out, and like if they put Frostlass into play, they're cooked, dude. Like it's over for them. And then if they play without Frostlass, they have like their deck is kind of terrible. So
Yeah.
although I did lose to it, so I can't say too much.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool run. It's been cool to see just kind of like throughout the season how you've like stuck to this archetype and how it's like changed with the formats. Obviously, the deck had a huge change with rotation and all that as well. You know, lost a lot of stuff, but came back just as strong, if not stronger. Yeah, we wanted to just kind of like walk through a little bit of the tournament history from this past year. So you got the top 8 at NAIC. You
And then I
played
went to
at
Worlds.
Worlds. We don't see a Worlds entry here on your Limitless page, though. Talk to us about what happened there.
I went 1-3, and I lost to an Iron Thorns deck with no canceling clone when I had a Mimikyu in my deck. So that's probably all you need to know.
Just tournament.
Yeah, I just didn't know that Thorns had like cut clones, or like I didn't know that was like even a possibility. So I never wanted to go into this lone Mimikyu. So I just like assumed he had a clone the entire set, and I ended up losing. And then my list was just in general weak to Regidrago, and I lost to 2 Dragos. I also misplayed quite a bit. I think I definitely did not play great. But then that's sort of the whole first half of the year was sort of inspired by this, finding different ways to make Gardevoir beat Regidrago. So that kind of was what led to like Secret Box and stuff like that.
Yeah, and when you won Baltimore, you know, Gardevoir, I mean, looking back at it now, it's kind of crazy to say, but like a kind of consistent theme we'll see is like people were kind of sleeping on Gardevoir.
It was 3% of Baltimore, dude. That's crazy to me.
It was not played. Everyone just kind of accepted that it had a bad matchup into Regidrago, which was the best deck, going to be the most popular deck in the room. So like, why would you choose to play it? And I mean, this tournament is really, I mean, your NAIC run was super sick, right? But you know, from like a tournament coverage and broadcast perspective, right? Like this is where we really first got to see you shine. You took down the win, taking down Kieran, who was a very established, well-known player in the game as well in the finals, with Gardevoir. And that's a matchup as well that I think a lot of people would, you know, have said was Lugia favorite a lot of the time. You didn't have any text or anything in here like we saw at
the Spirit Team later on.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about landing on Gardevoir for this event, and you know that moment of getting the win in Baltimore, what it was like.
Yeah, this might be my favorite deck I've ever played to a tournament. This deck was really, really fun. Essentially, like after I bombed, so it's a really stupid story. Like it's kind of embarrassing to say, but essentially, I actually had something similar to this list before Worlds, and I was like trying it on PTCGL. I didn't know about the Secret Box yet. I think I had the Hero Escape instead. But the idea was like, we're not going to play Manaphy. We're going to try to like protect our board with tools. This was before Dragos really were running Jamming Tower as well. So I like ran this list on live, and I was actually winning like a ton. But I was like, this deck doesn't like feel right. I'm like not going to play with this anymore. But then I bombed Worlds, and then I was like, okay, let me like try to revisit this idea of like playing a turbo style build again. And then, before Baltimore, I was just having really good success with it. I felt like I had a pretty decent playable Regidrago matchup, and this deck has like a horrible matchup into like a slower Gardevoir build, like a slower mirror match. But luckily, you know, Gardevoir was at 3% for this event, so no one was really playing that. So it felt like the niche had sort of opened up to play this really fast Gardevoir builds. And as I said, the idea is like, okay, against Regidrago, instead of trying to like use Manaphy and lose to a clone eventually, I'm just going to shove my Klefki up and see what happens. And then, of course, I also had the Secret Box here, which my friends Liam and Aban kind of told me about because they were playing it in their Pidgeot deck. Anyway, this deck was really amazing. I started this event out 7-0. Then I like tied a couple times, but managed to get into cut, I think, at 10:03. And then, I ran pretty hot. I got pretty lucky in finals against Kieran for sure. I played against a bunch of Lugia at this event. I went like 6-0 against Lugia, which was pretty lucky considering I wasn't playing any text for it. But I mean, this deck was just like absurdly consistent. It felt like you were getting turn 2 Gardevoir out like a lot more than you might initially expect. And then even if you didn't get turn 2 Gardevoir out, you know, you're still like a Gardevoir deck. You still have all these comeback cards. You still have 2 Counter Catcher, 4 Ionos, even have like a Palpat in there. So I have very fond memories of this deck, and very fun memories of this event in general, because this was my first like breakout. And once again, like once I got into top cut, like I had been there before kind of, but I didn't really have any expectations of winning. I was just kind of taking it one game at a time, and it just kept working out.
Yeah, not only did this really kind of like put a lot more respect on Gardevoir's name in that current format. But you really were kind of one of the big ones to put Secret Box on the map, because nobody was playing Secret Box as their A spec basically at all. And then now looking back, it's pretty crazy to say because so many decks play Secret Box. And it's pretty wild, like just looking back. I mean, it's hindsight is 2020, right? But like you only have to discard one more card for this card than you did for Computer Search, right? And Computer Search was the best A spec by far, the only one most people played back whenever A specs first existed. And you get 3 cards or 4 cards.
No, 4 cards, dude.
Yeah,
4.
you discard 3, you get 4. Yeah, this card is absurd.
Yes, this card is broken. I think in hindsight, this card should have been played from the moment it was released. If I could rerun even that first NAIC, I would probably play Secret Box in my Gardevoir deck. This card is just incredible, especially how well it combos with Arvin, giving you that follow-up supporter. It's chef's kiss, man.
Yeah, so that was like the big first innovation, I think, that you made with Gardevoir was at the Baltimore, getting the win.
Hey, I had the 2 Monkey Doors in NAIC.
That's true. The next big innovation, that's true. NAIC was pretty big as well, but yeah, then Baltimore. Well, I guess like bringing I guess what I meant was like bringing Gardevoir from the dead. Like you revived Gardevoir at Baltimore.
Everyone knew Gardevoir was going to be good at NAIC.
Yeah. You revived it here at Baltimore with the innovations, and then continued there. The couple events after that, Louisville, Sao Paulo, playing pretty similar lists. I think Spiritomb was the big ad.
Yeah, it's
moving
like
forward.
I changed the stadium to Moonlit Hill, which was really good against Regidrago, and then I just flipped the Palpad for a Spiritomb. That was it, and I played the same list to both Louisville and Sao Paulo. This deck was really good. I like the Spiritomb made the Lugia matchup like really favored. I felt like I misplayed at Louisville. Felt like I should have cut, and then at LAIC I lost my win in a pretty crazy game against Jackson Ford. That one I don't think I necessarily misplayed as badly, but still feels like I was really close at these events.
Yeah, and then Toronto came around where another innovation happened. The Mawile got included. And this one doesn't have the Spiritomb. This one got Manaphy, Klefki, Moonlit Hill.
Well, this list is terrible because it plays Unfair Sam. I decided to cut the Secret Box for no reason. But yeah, the Mawile is like a broken Charizard deck because I could just pull up their Pidgeot and trap it, and they would have to throw their Pidgeot out of play.
This was still Drago format, right? I'm not misremembering.
This was still Drago format, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I got Asim. I actually didn't hit a single Drago during Swiss. I always felt good about the Drago matchup. I tested it with Hedrick a lot, and we were going pretty much 50-50. But then I hit Cal Connor in Top Cut, and I just double bricked and got destroyed. So
I didn't even realize the lack of the Secret Box here until you pointed out. Yeah, you did have the Unfair stamp. Do you think that was just like if you could go back, would you play Secret Box?
Yes, 100%. And that's what I did at San Antonio. San Antonio is essentially this list, but I made it Secret Box, and then that's the one I won.
Yeah. Brought back the Irida. So talk to us about a little bit about the Irida, because you had it as a one of in your NAIC list back for that first NAIC where you got top 8, and then didn't play it at all, and then it makes its way back here into the San Antonio list.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of playing the Irida over? Because you didn't have 4 Arvin in the NAIC list either. You don't have 4 Arvin here. You're bringing the Irida in there instead, which is usually like the trade-off. I feel like is you're like it's taking place of an Arvin.
Yeah. Well, so at NAIC I was playing Hyper Aroma, so you weren't as reliant on Evo, right? Like you could just Irida and just get the Hyper Aroma and get activated that way. So it was just kind of an extra out to get your Greninja or your Manaphy if you needed it. And in this list, it's sort of a similar story where you can Irida for the Secret Box and still get your Evo, right? So it's just kind of that extra out to Greninja. It was sort of a way of justifying playing Greninja in this deck because I was only playing 1 Nest Ball. And if I didn't play the Irida, it's how often am I really seeing Greninja with this deck? I'm never going to Ultra Ball for Greninja. If I Ultra Ball for Greninja, I'm just kind of admitting I'm losing. But if I have 1 Nest Ball, then should I really put it in? It's okay, no, we'll do Irida, which is a half Nest Ball and just the 1 Nest Ball itself. So I have 1.5 Greninja outs. Okay, we can put it into our deck. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't actually make that much of a difference, but I like it. And I actually got pretty good value from it. I mean, there's a lot of matchups where you want your Manaphy early too. So the Irida was definitely pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised. At first I thought I probably won't even notice the difference, but at San Antonio, I definitely used the Irida at least 4 or 5 times for pretty good value.
Yeah. And this was your second win of the season, second win since coming back to the game as well. I mean, what was that? What was that like? You won this your second regional win in a season. Most people don't even win a major every season, let alone 2, and you were already doing it.
Yeah, this tournament was a blur. My list was really good for this event too, which I didn't really know going into it. We kind of made this list a little bit later than we should have. Yeah, I think I started off this one like 7-0-1, and then I misplayed my round 9 pretty bad against Snorlax and went into day 2 at 7-1-1. So I was like, it's already like a little bit scary. I'm on the brink. I can't lose a game in day 2 if I want to win the tournament. And then to like compound on that, I was actually like really sick in day 2 of this. So I wasn't feeling that good. I was really fatigued. I was like wearing a mask on stage and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I kept winning. Like it just like my deck was just working really well. I hit some Dragos in day 2. That went well. I misplayed really badly and tied against an Archaludon. And then I managed to get a Snorlax in the last round. And then I went into cut. I hit a Drago with no Cologne, which was like a free matchup. So I was feeling pretty good about that. Then I hit a Mirror. And then I hit Pidgeot Control, which I thought was a pretty good matchup as well. I'll shout out All Out Blitzel. That was on stream. And then the finals was really crazy at this event. I hit Shemansky and I was like full bricked for like 3 or 4 turns, but then I managed to top deck an Iono and put it together. So this one was really special, especially just because the finals were so crazy. So yeah, I'll always have really fond memories of this event. I don't really know how I won it. I think it was just mostly my deck list was really good again. I think that's another really fun part. Like even with all this information that's out there, it feels like, you can still get a really big advantage just from having a good deck list, even though everyone has access to the same limitless data that you have.
Yeah, that's something you brought up a couple times now as well, is that you feel like, and you even said like I threw a round, I misplayed a round, I tied when I maybe should have won, but you think one of the big things keeping you in these tournaments, despite making these mistakes, is you're just showing up with a better list most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's like so cool. I feel like even though I'm able to win these events, like I'm leaving like match points on the table. It feels like just about every event. Like I don't think I've ever like played a perfect event where I felt like I didn't leave match points on the table, and that just like gives you an idea of like how much you can still improve. So I think that part of the game is really interesting, and like Pokemon is just such a complicated game. It's so difficult. So there's just always room to grow, and that's really awesome.
So up to this point in San Antonio, you've stuck with one deck the whole year.
I know where this is going.
You had to know this was coming. And then after San Antonio, before Atlanta and rotation, where you got your 3rd win of the year, there was one more major tournament that took place, the European Internationals. So I guess up to this point, you played Gardevoir for all these tournaments. Had changing decks ever been a consideration for you? Like, had you ever thought like, oh, I might play something else if the meta feels better for it? Or was Gardevoir always what you were coming back to? And then at follow up to that, how did it change for EUIC where you decided to play the Golden deck?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I would say pretty much up until EUIC, I had never really seriously considered changing decks. There was like a couple times where I maybe thought I would try out playing Pidgeot or something like that, but never got past playing like 5 games of Pidgeot before I was like, this deck's too hard. I just want to play Gardevoir again. But yeah, going into EUIC, I was really busy with school. I didn't really have too much time to practice, so I wasn't really feeling that confident in my Gardevoir list going into the tournament. And then essentially the night before the tournament, I met up with Isaiah Browner, which is like, this is also like my first time meeting him. And he just like showed me this Golden Go deck that on paper had really good matchups. And it also, it's not that hard of a deck to play. So I was like, okay, you know what? I think we're just going to try this Golden Go deck. I mean, I don't feel great about my Gardevoir list. I trust, one of the best players. And I think in hindsight, the deck was pretty good, but dude, this run was like a complete disaster, dude. I hit your buddy Gedimer on stream in round 2, and he sacked the crap out of me. He like went hands Raichu, bro. That's like shouldn't even be possible in one game. And then I missed my Golden Go on turn 2 the next game after winning game 1. And I was like, oh, this is like, I can already tell this is going to go bad because I'm going to go with the tables with like the cloth and the mirrors are. And that's exactly what happened. Then I hit a Golden Go with Togekiss in it, which was not very good. He flipped heads to win both games on the last turn. And then I hit a cloth, which was a horrible matchup as well. So yeah, this was a pretty brutal tournament. I mean, the list ended up doing pretty good still. Xander got top 4. A bunch of other people cashed with it. But this was sort of the moment I decided I'm never going to switch off Gardevoir because I just felt like I had very little agency in my losses. And I had never felt that way when I played Gardevoir before. Like, ironically, this Golden Go tournament might have been my best played tournament ever because I actually feel like I didn't really make that many mistakes, but it just like didn't work out for me. And it was the worst feeling ever. Like, I would much rather leave a tournament feeling like, I messed this one up. I'll try to improve and be better next time. So after this, I decided I'm playing Gardevoir until it rotates.
So maybe not a regret, but a good learning experience that kind of sets you up to with a mindset to tackle the rest of the season and maybe the game moving forward?
Yeah, exactly. I never want to play a deck like this again. Even if I feel like it takes good matchups, it doesn't feel like it's the way you want to win a tournament. I could see myself. Yeah, I don't know. I like do have regrets. Like I do wish I played Gardevoir for this tournament, especially because after this tournament I was really frustrated and I made this like absolutely broken list that I gave Isaiah and he won Stockholm with, and I was like trying to register for Stockholm really badly, but I couldn't get in because I knew this list was like completely broken. So I was like, if I ran back EUIC with that list, I would have felt amazingly confident because actually we did a show match on your stream against Dragapult, and we just kind of showed everyone like we went 4-0 against it. Like it was so favored into Dragapult and pretty much everything else besides Miraidon. So I would have loved to get a chance to play that deck at a big event.
I feel like the Dragapult players still always will say they are favored against Gardevoir, though. No matter what happens, they're always
delusional.
I'm actually curious then, because of what you said. Do you play like? It seems like you keep up to date with the game. Obviously, you play a lot of Gardevoir. Do you actually play any other decks basically at all, or is it basically just like kind of keeping up with everything and then only playing Gardevoir?
Yeah, I do feel bad for my testing group because I'm not very useful. I pretty much just play Gardevoir. I'm never going to be like, I'll play Raging Bolt for you. I mean, I'll do it occasionally, but yeah, most of the time I'm just trying to work on the Gardevoir list. These days, I really, and I hope I don't get any hate for this, but I really enjoy playing Dragapult Golden Go. I think that deck is super duper fun, but I don't think I'm going to play it for Worlds. But yeah, when I've been like streaming a little bit, I'll like play Gardevoir and then like I'll give myself a little treat at the end of the stream and play 1 or 2 Golden Go games.
So you talk there about your testing group, and early on, it sounded like, most of, thinking back to like New Orleans and the 2024 season, like you're mostly working, it sounds like by yourself, working online, just going based off of your results from playing on TCG Live. And then, you mentioned playing Andrew Hedrick in New Orleans. You brought his name up again, as someone that you've talked to, worked with. You bring up Isaiah Bradner at EUIC. What did that kind of look like of you getting a group to work with, and how has that changed as the season has gone on? Because it feels like a lot of people kind of like lock in a group that they're working with like early on in the year. But for you, it kind of seems like it transitioned throughout the year.
Well, yeah, it feels like it just keeps growing. Like I still work with the same people I started off working with, but the group has just grown so much. So essentially what happened is I met Liam and Aban, who Aban especially has had like a really, really amazing year, by the way. He's had many, many top cuts at this point. So we started working together after NAIC. Liam had sort of seen my NAIC list and he was like, wow, this is like pretty innovative. Like you want to start working together. And so we worked together for a while. And then I had known Andrew from playing him at top 8, but we didn't really play each other until after I won Baltimore. Michael Davidson reached out to me and he was like, dude, like I've been trying this Turbo Gardevoir deck, but I'm always losing to Andrew on Reggie Drago. Like, how do you do it? And then from that point, he like kind of scheduled this like best of 9 where we played each other and I managed to come out on top. And then from there, we just kind of started working together, and Michael especially started to play some of the lists I was working on. So at that point, our list had our group had grown to like adding Andrew, Michael Davidson, Caleb Rogerson, and they sort of like had their own group and we just kind of merged. And then at EUIC, that's when I met Isaiah, and then we just kind of all decided to merge groups from there. And then from that point on, we just had like sort of this bigger like Discord server where we all just kind of bounce ideas off each other and play a lot.
The NA super group, it sounds like.
That's what they like to call it. I don't know. It sounds a little egotistical to me, but
I mean, if you look at if you look at the results from this year, I mean, I think that our players out of that group have won over half the North American tournaments. You had Bradner going over and winning Stockholm, stuff like that. So we haven't actually seen something like that, like a kind of I mean, obviously if you had every player in the Pokemon TCG in the group would win every single tournament. But I mean, you guys have a big group, but it's like not like, especially with how big the game is, like in comparison, like it's not that big, to be honest. And the success you guys have seen is kind of crazy. We haven't seen something like that in a while. I mean, like back in the day, there was the DDG group, the Limitless group, stuff like that, for like North America and Europe, but we haven't seen anything like this.
Yeah, dude.
And it's so much harder to win.
It's easy to say that your group wins half the tournaments whenever Henry won 3 of them on his own.
Of course, Henry maybe is carrying a little bit, but I'm sure he would say that the group has been useful to leading to some of the success for sure. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. It'd be cool to see. Like, it's one of those things that it's one of the things that I'm actually excited to see is how you guys do next season. I want to see if I'm not winning the tournament myself, watching you guys win the tournaments over and over again, like just seeing some level of dominance in the game again would be just kind of cool to push the game to like a higher level. Other
Yeah,
players
well,
from
I would think it's cool if like there's another group that formed or something like that, and then we like go back and forth. But
yeah,
we'll
exactly.
see.
It would push things to a higher level.
Yeah.
People in the game would have to come up with their own solutions to the NA super group or something like that. Yeah, you won. Or what we were just talking about. We're talking about EUIC, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of regret, but probably a good learning experience as well. And then from there was Atlanta, right?
Yeah. So
Which-
with this, there was rotation as well, right? And I think a lot of people very early on kind of wrote Gardevoir off, right? No Greninja, no Curlia, all these tools that it's had in the past, even other things like, Cresselia, Mawile, like all these cards rotating that you've been able to use in the past, not having options for. Did you what did it look like for you finding this new Gardevoir deck? Did you start off with the post rotation format trying other decks, or were you kind of keyed in on Gardevoir pretty early this time?
Yeah, I mean, you did ask me if I had considered other decks at tournaments since then, and like for this one, I think I thought about Dragapult like a little bit, just because Recon Directive felt more similar to Refinement. But quickly after playing some games with Gardevoir, I knew it felt good enough to lock in. And for this one, I didn't really come up with the list. I pretty much give 100% of the credit to Isaiah for this one. I actually was like sort of keen on this Dunsparce build, which in hindsight was definitely not a very good idea. But I will also say this Zoroark deck was also pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, this was pure jank, dude.
Yeah, I did hear that you do think that I know the evolution of Gardevoir happened a lot throughout this format, but the Brent 60 was probably better than this at the time than the Zoroark. Oh,
I actually don't think I'm pretty against the Brixie, dude. I think that the Brent 60 had actually a really bad Dragapult Duststorm matchup. I think Brent didn't do very good at Atlanta. I think if I brought Brent's deck to Atlanta, I definitely don't think I would have won. I mean, that deck plays like 30 items or something, dude. Like, it just actually loses to Bidoof. I think if we had figured out the Evo thing, which I credit the Brazilians for, if I had my Portland list for this tournament, I think I definitely would have won with the Rabsca and stuff like that, because that destroys Terrabox, destroys Dragapult. But instead, we had this deck, which, it wasn't as item reliant as the Brixie, so it had like a favored Dragapult Duststorm matchup, but just in general, the deck didn't really work that well. I had a lot of 3-game sets at this tournament where I would just insta-concede one of the games because my deck didn't work. But, when it got off the ground, when you set up the Gardevoir and the Zoroark, you felt pretty good. It kind of felt like the old days with Refinement. But yeah, there's a reason I played this at the next event and didn't do great at, and then we switched off it for the next events after that. But yeah, this event was also really special. I mean, the finals was pretty iconic for me and something I'll remember for the rest of my life. Yeah, I mean, this was the first event after the full super group had really formed, and then I was in the finals against Andrew, so that was really, really cool, especially because I had to get one back on him after NAIC.
Got your revenge. And then you play the same deck for Milwaukee. Doesn't go quite as well.
My list was so bad.
Oh, I haven't
even training.
Yeah, I have not even looked at this list. I'm not gonna lie. Black Belt's training, and
it's for the best.
In there still, of course.
Yeah, the Black Belt was an idea to kill Golden Go with one Monkey Dory. I can go Miracle Force Black Belt or something like that. It was really bad. Just don't even worry about this. Well, the general issue with this is from Atlanta to Milwaukee, Joltik Box came onto the scene and got really popular.
Yeah.
And my deck was just simply too slow to really keep up with Joltik Box. And I played against 5 or 6 Joltiks at this tourney. I think I played against a lot of Joltik, and I was getting destroyed. I had a pretty bad record against Joltik. So I kind of knew I didn't have very much time to practice for this tournament. And I kind of knew after I was halfway through day one that my deck was definitely not good enough to win the tournament. And I just kind of accepted that. I'll try my best, see where we go, but it's not very good.
Yeah, I mean, you had a pretty quick turnaround, right? Portland, you make the finals, and we saw something really cool happen in the finals, right? Where it was you versus Davidson playing the exact same 60 from the same testing group. I don't think we've ever once, I think one other time, we've seen that happen in the history of the Pokemon TCG at a major tournament.
2006 U.S. Nationals, I believe.
Yeah.
Was the same 60 mirror match finals.
And once again, a pretty innovative list. And I think it actually is kind of funny. You mentioned the, Team Evo hadn't discovered the Team Evo technology, which is something that Gardevoir had already played previously. It had to be rediscovered. And I think you gave a decent amount of credit to Azevedo and crew for re-inspiring you guys to try out a TM Evo build. But you went a step further, less Arvins, more Rabska. Talk to us about this list. And yeah, the success with it was crazy, right? Because it was you and Davidson at the finals.
Yeah, this deck, this is one of the most broken decks I've ever played in a tournament. This one felt like you literally beat every single deck in the room. Yeah, and it also did really well at the next European event after this. I think that was the last one before Destined Rivals came out. Yeah, this deck was just, it was like, so we sort of looked at the Brazilian list, and they played like 4 Arvins, but 4 Arvins is like okay, but it's Arvin's pretty weak later on to the game. So the strategy we ended up going for, and Isaiah kind of helped me with this one, it's like, what if we just played a bunch of research and 3 Evos, and then we just draw the Evos off of our research? Like, we just have really high odds of getting Evo turn 1 by just drawing it if we play a draw supporter. Because we also have the Seeker box, right? So that's 4 outs to the Evo by itself. And if we're drawing like 14, 15 cards turn 1, you know, opening hand plus research, we have a pretty good chance of just getting the Evo. So that was like part of it, reworking the engine a little bit. But then the other part was like, okay, like I had known about this Draftsmith card for a while, but you know, it never really felt right to play. But in this deck, it's like I'm Evoing anyway, and like Evoing out 2 Curlias is cool and all, but if I Evo out like a Curlia and a Rabska, that's like broken. Like I can't even get beaten by like Dusclops CC anymore, right? Like it's not like they can wipe out 2 Curlias with Dusclops CC. You know, they could like Dusclops punch my Rabska, but that doesn't do anything, right? Like it just makes my board so structurally stable. So yeah, I had always like thought about this Rabska card, and actually Karis Jones had played Rabska in one of her old Guardy lists, I think, before rotation. So I had known about it from that, but actually deciding it to include it into my deck, like I didn't think it was very good when she played it. But once I like had this Evos and Dragapult was like the main guy in the format, I was like, this card is like too good to not include. And it's also useful in the mirror match, and it was useful against. It made the Terra Box matchup really favored as well. So it was just a perfect card to include for this tournament.
Yeah, this is like when Zorak was on the rise, I feel like, as well, which is another matchup.
Yes. Yeah. Michael played Lucas on stream in that matchup, and he should have won that. He kind of messed up to lose.
Yeah, he made a couple mistakes.
Oh, yeah, you were probably streaming that event. Yeah. Oh, right, you were supposed to go to Portland, but then you didn't have a deck or something, right?
Glad I didn't, bro, because I definitely would not have been able to beat the Rabska for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Zorak, I think, was still like maybe slightly favored, but it was pretty close at this point. But yeah, this deck was really cool.
So this was your 4th finals appearance of the year, but your first finals loss. How does this sit with you? I mean, obviously, 2nd place at regionals, incredible finish, right? You come away with $7 grand, but now you're someone who's tasted victory so many times. What was that kind of? What did that look like for you accepting the loss?
It would have felt a lot worse if Andrew didn't also have a finals loss. But now we both have like 1 stain on our records in terms of the finals. So I feel even with him in that regard. Yeah, this tournament was like, I mean, obviously, yeah, it was definitely an overwhelming success. You know, it obviously felt bad to lose to in the finals, but to not only lose to my own 60, but also to lose to Michael, who was like sort of looking for his first big win, I feel like that made it like sit a lot better with me. In terms of the finals, I don't think I played great, but it was also sort of unfortunate. Like I started with a EUIC one game, which kind of derails your game pretty hard. Your bench space becomes clogged, and they have a really easy way to close the game out. So, you know, I definitely could have played better, but I think even if I had played optimally, I think there's a pretty good chance I still would have got 2-0'd. So it felt, you know, I want to win. Anything besides winning, you're going to have like some regrets, but this was about as good as a non-win could be.
Yeah. Looking back on the season, I guess. Oh no, we're not done yet. We still had one more, right? NAIC.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but we can go a little bit. I mean, you kind of talked about your preparation and stuff for it, but obviously the list ends up winning, right? Isaiah gets the dub. It seemed like in his post there was a little bit of a dispute about ownership of this list. Talk to us about that.
Well, yeah, we kind of have this thing going on. We kind of joke about how we distribute list credit. It's like, oh, I'll give you like a 0.6 for this one or something like that if I think you did like 60% of the work. And I definitely disagree with him. I think I deserve, you know, maybe at least a 0.84 for this one. I mean, the numbers are obviously completely arbitrary, but essentially, like I had came to the event with like the whole concept of 4 Monkey, 4 Dark, E-Switch, Turbo Energize, and then we worked on it in the day before the tournament to refine it. Like we had like a Turo in there instead of the boss before and stuff like that. And he was definitely really helpful with it. But yeah, I mean, we just kind of bicker back and forth about the exact numbers, but it's all love, of course.
Definitely. Yeah. And then, I mean, looking back on the season a little bit as a whole, talk talked about some of your favorite moments. I mean, we'll start with your favorite. What was your favorite stream game that you had this season?
I mean, that's got to be my finals versus Andrew.
Yeah.
I didn't play great, but I mean, it was absolute cinema. So I can't, and
Yeah.
I hope that one kind of goes down in.
You were flirting with getting a
Pokemon
penalty there, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I got a little excited. I'm not gonna lie. I slammed that nice stretcher down really hard. I mean, I think the lucky thing is that even if I got a DPL, I still would have won the tournament because he was gonna get benched out. But yeah, don't do that. Don't get that excited. I should have. Yeah, I like kind of messed it up so bad to the point that like I listened to it back on stream and like Pablo was saying, is Andrew helping him like put the game together here? Like, does Henry not realize he has a game? Like, that was definitely not the case, but I should have played it a little bit cleaner for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't really control your emotions in that kind of situation. So I don't really regret it too much, and I think that played into the drama. And I'm happy I flipped them over face up. I think that
was definitely made for a hype moment for sure. Yeah, I was watching that one backstage, and I like stood up and remember screaming like, "Oh my gosh!" Like when you hit like because you like paused when you hit the first piece of the combo you needed, and then you kept going. Oh my gosh, man, it was so sick. It was a super hype moment. And then in a similar vein, you've had a lot of games broadcast and you've won most of them, but you haven't won every single one. Do you have any that you wish you could have back after going back, seeing kind of how things played out? Any games from the season where you wish you could replay it?
Ooh. I mean, there definitely are. Do you mean stream game or just game in general?
We can go games in general. I thought the question was in the idea of a stream game, but if you have any other game that stands out to you, that's fine too.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm thinking about it. I feel like I actually play my stream games pretty well. I think my worst played stream game is probably game 2 against Andrew. I think I should have won that game and I lost it. Probably my biggest throw would be, yeah, I'd probably go with, probably Louisville. I played against Piper. Piper's up 2-0 on me in the year, which is too bad. She got me in 2 pretty big ones. She got me on the win in NAIC, of course. I don't think there's too much I could have done there, but at Louisville, I hit her as Gardevoir versus Bayonet, which is like an overwhelmingly favored matchup, and I somehow lost. Well, one of the games, she just like item locked me and I bricked, but I lost game 1 in a really bad manner. So that was bad, but shout out to Piper. I think she's the only person who's up 2-0 on me in the air.
All right. Well, I mean, you had a pretty good season so far. Not done, like Chip mentioned earlier. A lot to happen. Still, Worlds being the biggest tournament of the year, but Gardevoir does rotate next season. So is that going to be when you retire? You're going to quit the game again for 10 years? What do you? I mean, you probably haven't thought about it too much. I'm sure there's still a lot of Gardevoir to be played, and a lot of good cards coming out for Gardevoir actually still.
Yep.
Despite it rotating soon. But do you think you'll probably try and tackle things similarly once it rotates? Find that deck that gives you that, because like you said, when you played Golden Go, it just felt like you were missing so many options.
Like a passenger, yeah.
So you think you're going to try and, once Gardevoir rotates, you're going to try and find that deck that kind of is similar to that, something like a Dragapult or a Gardevoir, where you have those options and that flexibility to work with?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the goal. The goal is to find a deck where you feel like you're the driver and not the passenger, and you want to find a deck that you feel like will stick around for a long time. I think it's pretty easy to find a deck where you're the driver, but it's not so easy to find a deck that sticks around for a long time, because that's not really in your hands, right? That sort of depends on how, the new cards they print. I will say with Gardevoir, I mean, Gardevoir is just so fundamentally strong. I mean, absolutely one of the most broken cards ever printed. Same with Monkey Dory, that it kind of feels like they'd have to print, like a Drapion V, but for psychic type Pokemon or something like that in order to actually kick it out of the meta. So if I see something like that I just like know is so fundamentally broken that it'll stick around, that would be ideal. But I think if I have to jump around between decks, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, hopefully not jump around every tournament, but jump around every couple months. I think I could still manage it. And it's like, I wish I could have got a chance to play other decks besides Gardevoir, but I just, especially a couple years down the line, I would definitely regret not have just sending Gardevoir to every event. It just is by far my highest EV play, right? So
I'd say that it's worked out pretty nicely for you, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm actually,
go ahead.
I'm actually curious with that. Like, is that something? Not that you attribute your success to like sticking with one deck, but do you like that comfortability of like being able to stick with one deck for a long time? Do you think that is something you would want to do as opposed to jumping around between different decks, or does it kind of just depend on the feel of things at the time?
Yeah, but it sort of depends. I mean, it depends how fun I find the deck. I mean, I have so much fun when I play Gardevoir, so that part of it I really like. I wouldn't like. I really wouldn't mind switching decks. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make the highest EV choice for every tournament, and every single tournament I've played Gardevoir 2, I've genuinely thought it's the best deck in format. So we'll see if that's the case for decks in the future, but maybe it's delusion, or maybe I was just right all along. But like, yeah, I mean, Gardevoir is just so broken, right? And people, yeah, I do feel a little bit vindicated, like with how broken people have realized it is now. Like, surely people will go back and be like, I probably should have like explored Gardevoir more during Reggie Drago format. Like, I would hope that some other top players have thought that recently.
I think for sure that has definitely happened.
Absolutely. Before we move on, one last question, kind of looking back at the season. What do you think? So think back to Henry 1 year ago today, preparing for the 2024 World Championships, and having no idea what's on the horizon. Do you think you would have believed at that time that you would have had the season you've just had?
No, I mean, that definitely not. I mean, I would not have expected to win this much. I mean, I would have believed if I had like one regional or something like that, but this season definitely surpassed my expectations. And yeah, I mean, I really, really want to do good at Worlds, and that's pretty much how it goes.
All right. Well, it wouldn't be an episode of the Uncommon Energy podcast if we didn't have everyone's favorite segment, Guess That Flavor Text. And we are going to have a card picked out here for you, Henry. So what we're going to do is we'll read the flavor text of this card and give you a chance to try to guess which Pokemon we are talking about. And there are 3 lifelines that you can utilize. They are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name. Are you familiar with Guess That Flavor Text?
Yeah, I've definitely heard a fair amount of these.
Well, how are you feeling going in?
Not confident. I think I told you before we went on, but I'm really bad with Pokemon after Gen 5 because that's when I stopped playing the video games. So I'm not feeling good, but we'll see what I can do. I do play some Sporkle quizzes of the Pokemon sometimes, so that's all I get going for me.
All right, Azul, you want to give it to him?
Yep, I will read it. All right. It uses its docile-looking face to lull foes into complacency, then bites with its huge, relentless jaws.
Huge, relentless jaws. So it has like a cute face and it has jaws. Like, are there like any baby Pokemon that are like that? Can't think of any.
You do have some lifelines.
Yeah, I think we might have to just jump into a lifeline real quick. Wait, when you say set, does it have to be from like a current standard legal set, or it can be literally any?
It can be any set in the history of the game.
Okay, so the lifelines are set, stage, and what's the last one? Type.
Read an attack name.
Oh, okay. I'll go with stage.
It is a basic.
Okay, well, that was actually probably pretty obvious. Oh, jeez. All right, what set is it from? Okay, set might actually help me. I should have done that one first.
It's from. Oh, you want to go, Chip? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's from Lost Origin.
Dude, I didn't play. Oh no, is that the one with Giratina in it? Oh shoot.
It's the Giratina V-Star set. Yeah,
it is the Giratina V-Star set. But yeah, I didn't play when like that set was being released. I only used the cards later. I wonder if it saw tournament play. I mean, it could be like Totodile or something. I mean, it's cute and it has a big jaw. I don't know if there was a Feraligatr card from that set though. All right, I'll lock in Totodile.
Ooh, locking it in early. All right. Well, before we reveal, we will read one more lifeline for the people playing along at home. Read an attack name. I don't know that this attack name would change your guess at all, but the attack name is Bite.
That's like the most useless one.
Well, its other attack would maybe give it away a little bit too much. And we will go ahead and fill you in that it is not Totodile. There is one more hint for you. It is a card you played this season.
What? Oh, it's Mawile then. Oh my god.
Its other attack name is Tempting
You gave me
Trap.
a layup, dude.
Yeah, I thought you would have. I thought it would have been maybe a little bit too easy to guess. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, but we'll see how it goes. But in Uncommon Energy fashion, another miss.
Rough
We'd love to see
one.
that.
All right, my bad. I'll get it next time. That one I definitely should have got. Jeez.
That's funny.
Well,
Yeah.
the set name
So I
doesn't help
guess
me at all.
I guess you're never. It was really funny when you were complaining about I wasn't playing then because you literally played.
Well, I didn't, because I just do my deck list on Arcane Eye. So like, if you asked me what set Mala was from, I would not have been able to tell you.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, that's still embarrassing. I'm not gonna beat around the bush.
No. Don't be embarrassed. All in good fun. Well, we appreciate you playing. Maybe if we have you on in the future, you'll have a chance for redemption. And speaking of the future, let's talk a little bit about the future, starting off with Worlds. So it sounds like you're pretty dialed in for the World Championships coming up. I know you're a student, right? So you're kind of in the summer. Does this, do you have like a lot of extra time that you're really committing to the game right now compared to during the season?
Yeah, well, particularly right now, I'm trying to make sure I'm trying to do like a little bit more content. Like I'm working on some Metafy stuff right now, and I'm like been streaming a little bit. Just trying to, because yeah, it is sort of hard to do that during the school year. So I'm just trying to establish myself in that space a little bit more. Yeah, at Worlds, I'm really focused. I mean, especially, I don't really know how the historical stuff works out because I missed like some of Tord's best seasons and stuff like that. I mean, my goal is to have one of the best seasons ever. So that's why I really want to try to win Worlds this year. I mean, obviously you want to win Worlds every year, but I'm really locked in on this one, and I've been practicing quite a bit.
You're trying to leave your imprint on Pokemon TCG history here.
Yeah, exactly. Like even if I stop playing after that, which I don't think I will. I think I will definitely keep playing. But if I don't, I want to at least leave like something back, a legacy, I guess is how people would say it. Those who watch real sports.
Yeah, I think you're definitely up there. This is probably like top 5 seasons of all time. I don't think you've quite passed towards IC winning season, but winning at Worlds would definitely either put you above them or at least tie them for sure. Be close. But yeah, speaking ahead towards Worlds, new set coming out, right? We got new cards, and obviously you're the Gardevoir innovator. Everyone looks to you for the next best way to play Gardevoir. I don't know how much you've tested with this or thought about it, or if you think it's the best way to play it, but what do you think about, we saw it be pretty successful at the Japan Championships. I don't know if you kept up with that, but Jellicent in the Gardevoir is like the big new card for Gardevoir. What do you think about Jellicent?
Yeah, I haven't played too much with the Jellicent yet. I've watched it a couple times. It seems a little clunky. I mean, the fact that your Jellicent needs 4 energies means that your energies can get spread out pretty quickly, especially against like a Dragapult with a bunch of boss's orders or something like that. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I'm gonna have to play with it a little bit more. It's a really cool card, and it definitely will affect the mirror matchup quite a bit. Especially if I'm playing a non-Jellicent build against a Jellicent builds. I could definitely run into issues there, I think, where I can't Night Stretch or my Monkey Dory's back. So yeah, I'm gonna have to play with it a bit. It's a really interesting card. I can't say for sure whether I will or won't play it at Worlds, but
Of course, yeah.
Very cool card.
Yeah.
It's got potential though.
Yes, it definitely has potential, especially with the Frillish. The Frillish is really good.
And you mentioned back when we talked about Monkey Dory, how that card came out and you were able to kind of call back to the old Chandelure from Noble Victories. That was really strong. I mean, these effects that are on the Jellicent here have been very powerful in the game's past.
Wait, yeah, this Chandelure Vileplume is back in full form now. maybe. Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's actually a big difference from playing now to playing before. I mean, it feels like when we were playing as kids, or when I was playing at least, like, there was always Vileplume, Spiritomb. There was so much trainer lock back in the day. Yeah. And then up until Badoo got released, there was like none. But now they're coming on pretty strong with it, with both Badoo and now the Frillish and the Jellicent. So
you dodged the 2016 Worlds format, fortunately for you. Maybe one of the worst Worlds formats of all time, to be honest.
Forest of Giant Plants Vileplume?
Yeah, Forest of Giant Plants Vileplume. There was Trevenant, and there was Seismitoad Quaking Punch.
Yeah.
And then if you weren't playing against any of that, you were getting Hex Maniacked out of the game. Like, it was a pretty miserable time, to be honest.
Yeah, thank goodness. Well, I'm not to get too much on a rant here, but I think the game has been like amazing since I started playing. I think the format there's not been a single bad format since I started playing.
I think
shout out to Pokemon for that.
They've been doing a really good job lately, and so it's good to hear you recognize that as well. As someone who said like you felt like one of the reasons you moved away from the game was the way the game was headed did not feel great. That's why. One of the reasons maybe that you stopped playing for so long, but now that you're coming back into the game, you're like, oh, this actually feels pretty good. I'm enjoying the game, the depth of the strategies that are going on.
Absolutely.
I guess like your preparation, like you said, you're trying pretty hard for Worlds here, putting a lot of prep time in. There's a new set out. I mean, I guess would you say you're taking preparation different for this tournament compared to everything else this season? Like you're putting the extra effort in as much as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of it just comes from it being in the summer, so I have a little bit more time to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's something like mechanically different from the way I'm preparing. I'm just going to play more games. I mean, that's really all it comes down to.
Yeah.
And looking even a little bit farther ahead past Worlds, I feel like it would be remiss to the Gardevoir enjoyers out there if we didn't ask you about some of just these other cards that have been revealed from even the further ahead past Worlds set, the Mega set coming out. Starting off, maybe just like, I mean, it obviously seems like there's a lot of potential for cards that could be utilized alongside Gardevoir EX from Scarlet Violet base set. What are your kind of thoughts on some of these cards, starting with Mega Gardevoir EX, maybe?
Okay, yeah, this one, and maybe I'll eat my words on these, but I have some more hot takes on these ones. I think this card is terrible. I think maybe you could maybe play it as a one-off. I mean, you probably would play it as a one-off, but yeah, it doesn't seem very good. I feel like, I don't know, giving up 3 prizes sounds terrible. Like, giving up 3 prizes is okay if you can use it to like mess up your opponent's prize map, but in this case, it seems hard to do that. I mean, Gardevoir plays a bunch of single prizers, so giving them a 3 prizer sounds so bad, but it all comes down to like if there's a lot of ways to one-shot this in the format still. I mean, obviously their Charizard is still going to exist. And wait, yeah, this is exactly gets one-shot by Grimmsnarl still, so that's not very good. No, this card's terrible. I'm just going to say it.
Counting it out right away. Not a fan. There's some kind of nice little, like, I mean, these aren't like huge changes, right?
No. Well, wait, my hot take is that the Kirlia is the best card coming for a Gardevoir.
Okay.
Kirlia is sick, dude. That's any 3 Pokemon. Like if you don't get Iona, like the game is over. I got like a Gardevoir and a Fez in my hand now. Come on.
Just getting fully set up. I want to see
this one. There's a stadium too, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the stadium? Obviously, like another potentially powerful option.
The stadium seems really hard to utilize. Well, like Artisan is so essential to Gardevoir. I feel like. I mean, part of the reason I can play 4 Monkey Dories is because my Artisan's sticking in play. So I don't know. I think this is like a one-off. I don't think this card is that broken though. It seems really hard to get working. Yeah, I don't know. Like it seems only good in the late game, but then like even if you get Iona, you actually have to have the energy in your hand. So I don't know. Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan. We'll see though.
Maybe this is a good thing, to be honest. If the number 1 Gardevoir player is telling us the new cards for Gardevoir aren't good in Gardevoir, then Gardevoir's not actually going to be even more broken than it already is. This might be good for the future of the format, to be honest.
Or maybe the smoke screen from me.
I also don't feel like this card seems super good in like current Gardevoir, but I think like the potential of this card in the future, like thinking formats ahead, right? Like this is one of the most powerful draw abilities we've seen on a stadium card, I think. So I think there's maybe Gardevoir as it is right now doesn't necessarily need this, but I think that, maybe if it's a Mega Gardevoir deck in the future after Gardevoir EX rotates, something like that, right? Like I could see this card being very strong in something like that in the future.
Yeah, I agree. This card will definitely be good at some point. It seems... But in the current engine, it just seems hard to work in.
Do you have any other opinions you'd like to share just about kind of Mega Pokemon in general? Because you as someone who kind of missed the tag teams, you missed the VMAXs, right? What are your thoughts on 3 prize Pokemon coming to the game?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, that was part of, like, I think I remember, as I said, like, I would tune in every couple years and, like, watch a Worlds. And I think I remember watching, like, Tord versus Shintaro playing, like, Reshizard Mirror or something like that. And I don't like the idea of tag team Pokemon. Tag team Pokemon sounded really bad. I mean, big basic 3 prizers. Part of it is coming from like an old head perspective. Like that's just too much. I can't really give you like an actual reason why, but I didn't like the idea of it. For this one, I kind of agree with like the mass Twitter opinion. It's like, why would they do this? The game is so good. But I also feel like the card designers, like I've sort of been cynical about stuff they've released recently, but it's always worked out. So I feel like I should give them the benefit of the doubt. They've like earned one chance to like do something crazy and hope it works. But if this becomes unbalanced, then they just have to print bad megas for the rest of the time until they come up with a new mechanic.
Yeah, that could be theoretically a tough 3 years. I'm with you though. I'm giving they've been doing really well for a really long time, so the benefit of the doubt, hope for the best. Don't have to be doom and gloom yet.
They should bring back level X's, dude. Level X's was really cool. That's my vote, but that's like completely biased towards when I played as a kid.
Yeah.
They kind of
True.
did for a little bit. Break Pokemon is a pretty similar mechanic
Oh,
to
that's
level
true.
X's. You could like evolve on the bench, so it's like a little different, right? But that's yeah, level X's. I think like anyone who played, like I didn't play competitively back then, but I enjoy going back and playing those formats. And I think anyone who talks about those formats super fondly, like the 2009s and 2010, and even 2011, like before the rotation, I think, you know, people talk about it fondly for good reason, because it was genuinely like a very fun format.
Yeah. So you mentioned this a little bit. I mean, you're in school, right? So you have that going on. I don't know if you ever plan on trying to pursue Pokemon full time or anything, but you've been doing streaming. You've been streaming recently, which is great to see because we need more people to stream the Pokemon. To stream PTCG Live, there's so few people who stream it. It's cool to see more people always get in the streaming space. And then you said you're doing some Metafy stuff as well. So doing more stuff like that. Is doing more stuff like that in the future something you plan on doing besides just competing and being a player?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a waste. I mean, it feels like, you know, I do good and people want to hear from me, so I feel like I should do like some stuff. It all depends. That one sort of depends on like money and stuff, and you know how I don't exactly know all the details. Maybe I should ask you questions about that. But yeah, I just don't really know that much about it, so I'm just trying to dip my toes in and see how it goes for now.
Yeah, it's cool to see. It's great to see more. I mean, that's definitely something, a big thing that the space is missing, is just kind of more content in general. So it's cool to see, you know, a top level player like yourself getting into it. I feel like on all levels of play, we're kind of missing a little bit in the Pokemon TCG space. So yeah, seeing more people step up, it's been really cool to see that for sure. I guess with that, maybe it'd now be a good time for you to plug any of those things, to be honest. So what is it, whatever your Twitch channel is? I don't know if you plan on doing YouTube ever, or even your Metafy.
Yeah, well, it seems like YouTube's pretty popular in the space, so I should probably start setting up that cross streaming stuff that you do. But for now, I'm just streaming on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/hchaotcg. And then I'm also working on a Gardevoir guide right now, which I should probably have sometime in the next week put out. And then, yeah, I also might start offering coaching on Metafy. So yeah, stay tuned. Anything I do, I'll post on my Twitter, which is hchao9999, 39s, I think. So yeah, make sure to follow that for any updates. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man. Well, after the season you've had, and obviously we've got Worlds coming up, but thinking ahead to just the future in the game, you know, do you feel any sort of additional pressure now that you've performed super well? You know, you've got a lot of people who now, you know, watch your game as a fan, right? They want to see you succeed. I mean, kids coming up and asking for pictures and autographs and all those type of things. It's totally different from where you were a year ago. You know, I asked you what you thought Henry from a year ago would have thought about where you are now. What do you think Henry a year from now will think about? Or what do you hope Henry a year from now will be able to say?
I agree. I do feel more pressure now, and I hope I'm able to adapt to the pressure a bit more. I was actually like, it's kind of wild to think about how much I care about Pokemon now, because I was like really emotional after I lost my win on stream at NAIC. Like, I wanted to win that tournament so bad, which is part of the reason why I'm really happy that Isaiah won. But yeah, I was super emotional. I felt terrible about it, and yeah, I mean, as a competitor, it's, you know, hard to sort of shun those feelings away, but maybe try to strike a bit of a better balance would be nice. But at the end of the day, I mean, I want to win so bad. So, you know, if I feel bad, I feel bad. It contributes to me being able to win in the future. So I don't know. Yeah. Still more just personal growth to go through. I have to explore those feelings more, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It is actually funny when Chip mentioned that the amount of people that were disappointed when you didn't play Gardevoir at EUIC. Even I was disappointed a little bit. Like, I felt it. I was like, I felt betrayed by Henry. He didn't play Gardevoir. I was waiting for the next cool innovation. And it was Golden Go. So it was definitely funny to see for sure the reaction to that change up.
Yeah, I got a lot of DMs. And I actually like apologize, people. It's like, yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have done this. I won't do it again.
I mean, you've had such a big come up in such a short amount of time, despite your, I guess, history in the game. Like, you didn't come completely out of nowhere. But to anyone who is in a similar position, I mean, I think you have a So you have like a little bit of a background in strategy game because you had played Pokemon previously. So some people are a little bit maybe a little bit removed from that even. But like, what would your advice be to anyone who's trying to get really competitive, who just wants to improve as much as they can? What are some advice you'd give those people?
Yeah. Oh, actually, sort of sidetracked. You mentioned strategy games, and I will say, like, part of what helped me transition from League to Pokemon was playing TFT a bit. TFT was like super fun, and that one's actually a lot closer to Pokemon.
It was actually a question I wanted to ask you. Was like, were you playing any other strategy games?
Yeah.
Between your break of Pokemon, so TFT, League of Legends were
really really fun, but it's like a huge time sink. Like more, you have to like keep so up to date to actually be good at it, so it's not really worth it. But yeah, anyway, back to the main question. Yeah, I mean, I sort of have my spiel about like I think it's really important to play online for high quality practice. I think you have to find like if you're trying to be really good, you have to find sort of this balance between going to locals and playing online. I think going to locals is more fun because you get to hang out with your friends, but in general, like you're not getting that good bang for your buck in terms of number of games played. I mean, if you go to like a locals, you're going to play against like you're going to play like 4 or 5 rounds, and probably some of those rounds you're going to be playing against like Garchomp EX or something like that. So I definitely think that the most efficient way to get good at the game, if that's your main objective, is to simply grind the ladder, because once you get to 17, 18, 1900 elo, you are just going to get high quality game after high quality game. And if you can continue to climb, then you can prove to yourself that you are a strong player. Beyond that, I mean, just having a growth mindset. I mean, I get really annoyed by this, and I'm sure you guys and a lot of top level players get annoyed when people just like feel like they always complain about luck. I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing Pokemon, luck is a factor, but I don't want to toot my own horn, but like, the ability to win multiple regional championships in a year shows like how much like skill is in the game, right? Like the ability to overcome variance in multiple tournaments is how you become good. And obviously I've been lucky on stream before, but I mean, there's so much skill in the game, and it's so deep that like, if you want like any sort of results is possible as long as you put enough effort in. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, it's like be more introspective on your games, don't complain about luck, and play online a lot, I guess would be my 3 big things.
All right, yeah, those are always some good ones.
Is there anything before we get out of here that you would like to say to anyone who's watched you, supported you over this last year, and what people can expect from you moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I really, really appreciate everyone who supports me and like cheers for me during my stream games. It really does mean a lot to me. I never really thought I'd be in that position. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely part of the reason I play a lot. Just because, yeah, I mean, so many people are cheering me on, and that just means a lot. Yeah, and keep your eye out for stuff, and it also means a lot to the people who have dropped into my stream recently, and asked me questions and engaged in the chat. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll try my best at Worlds. Thanks everyone so much. And yeah, I'll post if I do any more content stuff. So yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit repetitive, but yeah, thank you all so much.
Yeah, man. Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Henry, for coming on. And as always, if anyone enjoyed the podcast this week, be sure to leave us a like, review, rating, comment, and subscribe. Those things help us out a bunch, and let us know that you're enjoying it and help more people to discover the podcast as well. And if you want to stay up to date with myself and Azul, you can do so over on Twitter. Follow myself at Chip Ritchie, Azul at Azul_GG. You can, of course, follow Henry as well at HChao999. It is 3 9s. I did check before the start of the episode. It's been up under your face the whole time, so it's been up there for people to see.
Okay.
So.
I should have just looked down then. What am I doing?
Yeah. And you can also follow the podcast at uncommon_energy. Thanks so much for the continued support. Azul, anything else you want to say?
No, catch y'all again next Wednesday, 7 a.m. Eastern.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Amen.
Of course.